passionate about Cleveland sports.
He's going in, touchdown!
Browns, Indians, Cavs, the Big Ten, and more.
Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond.
Swinging it line! To deep right!
Here are your hosts, Andy Billman and Jarid Watson.
Hey, hello and welcome. Andy and Jarid, Cleveland and beyond. He's Andy Billman. I'm Jarid Watson, and we are waiting for kickoff tonight, 8 o'clock, NFL Network.
Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns under the bright lights of Mile High Stadium out in Denver, Colorado, and taking on the Broncos. Is Baker going to be able to ball out in front of a national audience? The past 5 games would tell you, yeah, it's going to happen. Fingers crossed. Andy, what are you looking for tonight with the Browns and Baker leading the way?
Well, I first off, I want to say happy holidays. And this has been the craziest. I think when you have kids, these days just become such a jumble with Santa and.
Thank God. My daughter finally gave up on the Santa thing this year. Yeah. So,
well, Santa plays a big role in this house, and Santa on this end's got a lot to do starting tomorrow night. So I'm a last-minute shopper, as are the Browns trying to make a last-minute run to the playoffs. One thing to get out of the way, I mistakenly said something last week that I want to correct. I forgot that the Browns tied the Steelers, so they don't have the head-to-head record. So They got to have a better record than Steelers. I want to apologize for that confusion. I'm not a moron. Just drank too much eggnog on Sunday. All right, so now back to this game itself. I take it as an individual game. I don't want to talk so much about playoffs today, Jared. Yeah. This game means a lot if you're a Browns fan for one reason. It's the goddamn stinking Broncos in Denver. And what does that team do? They post an article about the fumble 48 hours before kickoff.
Oh, not only that, and they've got the photo of Biner on the 1 yard line on Twitter today. If it showed up in my feed.
Again, this is pure spirit today. Sure, the playoffs are still in play. Mm-hmm. Sure, there's a lot of things going on. But if you're a Browns fan, this is about beating those goddamn Broncos.
Yeah.
There are certain teams, the Marlins, the Bulls, and the Broncos. These are teams I will never
can't get over it. You can't get over it, can you?
Can't.
I know. No.
There's natural rivalries. There's the White Sox and Tigers and Steelers and Ravens and Bengals, and these are divisional things. But Broncos are special hatred to me. Mm-hmm. I really don't like them. This is a big game. I did not realize, and we mentioned this in the last podcast, the Browns I've played the Broncos. Let me make sure I got this right. So I looked this up today. They've played the Broncos 28 times. I'm going to give a pause, and I'll answer. How many times have the Browns beaten the Broncos? 5. I'll repeat that. In 28 appearances, they've only beaten them 5. So for those, when I said last week, it doesn't feel like we ever beat the Broncos, or certainly not in Denver, I wasn't exaggerating. 23 out of 28 for the... Not
that we beat anybody all that often since returning in 99.
This is long stretching.
I know, right?
This is 70s, 80s. This has been long stretching.
That's how far back that goes, huh?
Yes, it does. So this game is a special bit of spice, and it's on Saturday night. It's a big, high-profile game. So I think we should do a really good majority on our new leader, Baker Mayfield.
Absolutely,
we've kind of been talking about a lot of different topics over the last week, whether it's Hugh Jackson, the Myles Garrett debate, which, by the way, I am now fully back on board. He should be a Pro Bowler, all that stuff. And I always thought he was a Pro Bowler, but I've been one who's been more nitpicking than others. Jared is not.
No, Myles knows I didn't waver.
No, I didn't waver. I just didn't think he was playing great. I think he's playing great now. Okay, that aside, I don't want to do that today. Baker Mayfield has really become the new clubhouse leader at a time when probably Cleveland needed it. LeBron did exit stage left. The Indians, which we'll get to, is really in flux right now outside of Frankie and Jose. I think everybody else is really in flux, meaning trade rumors and what's going on. And Baker has really mentally stepped into the spotlight here. He's played wonderful. I have a lot of different stats here to go through. But, the bigger things here, Jared, that I saw that I was in research on Baker In the past 5 games, the Browns have made 14 trips to the red zone, and they scored 14 touchdowns.
Yeah, that stood out to me big time because let's just think about this team for the past 15 years. Red zone appearances were difficult enough, but they never scored touchdowns. Never.
Never.
No.
And not only that, it would be even. I'd even say this: for 5 games for them to make 14 trips to the red zone.
Oh my! Right?
I mean,
well,
that's.
Andy, it's to the point now offensively for this team where it's a disappointment when they don't score a touchdown on a drive.
Sure.
How crazy is that feeling? The third quarter last week, it was frustrating because you knew that's not like that's what I hope. That's the one thing that I think they need to eliminate is those long stretches of flat offense. Outside of that, again, look at me. I'm nitpicking 14 touchdowns and 14 red zone appearances right now.
Well,
it's still.
Think about this too, Jared. Right now, it hurt in the past where you had a turnover because you felt the game was over. It hurts now because you want to see what Baker's going to do.
Oh,
Landry's fumble last week was frustrating. Yes, it was a big play in the game, but it's like, gosh, I really want to see what Baker can do coming out of the half. And that's the thing now. I mean, Baker, to your point, too, wonderful to watch, really has become a leader. I think they should talk about the banner thing. I'm not just saying that. I think they should. I think the banner going into downtown should be talked about for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I've got a different take on that. I don't want to jinx it, and I don't know why we feel like that's a void that needs to be filled in that way. You know what I mean? It was great when it was a LeBron thing. I think we leave it alone. I don't know. I get it. What they put up when they put up the Guardian statue guy. My family photo is in there somewhere in the lower right quadrant somewhere because it's a mosaic. But
for that, I just think he's ready. Did I feel this way 5 games ago? No. I feel that way now, Jared. I really do. I think he is taking on the energy. He's taking on the momentum. It doesn't mean playoffs. It doesn't mean playoff win. It doesn't mean all like they famously say over at ESPN Cleveland, the 100 Years War. That's not over.
No, not by any means.
I think you're seeing the leader rise. And I'll tell you, there's a guy at Forbes who wrote a wonderful article, which was written a couple weeks back, but I stumbled upon it today, where he actually said in his article, Baker Mayfield's the most important Cleveland Browns player in this century. And I don't think that's inaccurate.
Well, if you look at it from purely, he came in at a time where the team was at its absolute worst that it has ever been in its entire existence. That and shouldering that as a leader, not as a smack talker, not as a jokester, not as a nervous young kid who would get crushed under the pressure. Andy, he has endeared himself to every player on that field playing with orange and brown and white on their uniforms. I don't know where he gets it from, but let's go back to that conversation that you had with Herschel Walker, right? What did he say when he met him? The kid's got an aura. The kid's got the presence, the it factor. And that leadership, Andy, that is in any industry on this planet, the most difficult thing to learn is how to be a good leader. There are Fortune 500 companies that struggle to find leaders that aren't shitty. There are.
No, agreed.
So
you can't, as I can tell, chemistry is something you can't. You don't draw up a plan and go, here's how you get chemistry. It's just something It's a nit. You said it perfectly. It's a nit factor.
Yeah.
It's something you can just feel and you can notice. And
comfortable in your own skin. Comfortable with who you are. With your choices, realizing that the most important thing is to make a choice, and that's leadership. Whether it's a good or bad choice, figure that out later. Making the decisions is the difficult part, and he does not hesitate in the pocket making his decisions.
I agree, and I understand if someone like yourself and others have hesitation. I think it's time to put that guy up on the banner.
The only reason I say it with the banner is I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want any of those, Sports Illustrated cover type things. And I also, Andy, I also think he wants on the banner, earn it. bring me a Super Bowl. You can have the banner.
That's pretty lofty.
I don't care. You're right. You're damn right. You're damn right it's lofty. You're damn right it is, and why shouldn't it be? That is what we want. That is what we want in Cleveland, is a damn Super Bowl.
Come on. He beat the – okay.
I need more. I need more. I'm sorry. Give me – hey, LeBron brought me the championship. Have the banner.
Well, he was on the banner before that.
Yeah, but he's a little something else. That's a little special. We knew that was coming with him.
I just want to say I'm calling in whatever today's date is, the 15th of December. He's going to be that special. I think these guys are right.
Okay.
I think these guys are right. I'm ready to play my hand of poker now. We got a full house. Bet. I'm telling you.
I'm not far off from where you are on this. I get it's the nervousness. It's the hesitation. Fingers crossed.
I'm ready to throw the gas. I'm ready to throw gasoline on the fire.
Lucy has pulled the football from us, every single time, and that's why I get nervous.
I understand. I will say this. This is a great test for Baker tonight because these were one of these games where we set the record. Let's not go through it. This has just been a terrible team to play. I mean, we just don't beat the Broncos.
No.
And the Broncos and the Browns are even coming in. I guess we should start going through the game here a little bit. I was looking through all the stats today, Jared, and looking over the week. Everything is dead even in this game, really. Both these teams basically have a similar record with just that tie is the only difference. So the keys to the game for people who may not have been following the Broncos this year, Von Miller and Bradley Chubb are the two studs on this team. They are the two things on this team that do worry me. I agree with what most people have been saying when I've been listening to breaking down this game. Chubb and Miller can disturb a game, and this offensive line, they passed, I would say, the first test kind of against the Texans because I didn't see J.J. Watt or I forget the other kid's name at the top of my head, the kid from South Carolina. They didn't really disrupt the game. Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, I think, is another test of that. We'll have to see what happens with them. And remember, too, they're playing off a loss in the Niners, so they should play up tonight. The bigger thing, too, here on Denver's defense, they give up a lot of yards, but they don't give up a lot of points. They force teams to what we were just alluding to with Baker earlier. Denver does a great job of really forcing field goals or punts. Once you get past midfield, it's hard to do much against the Broncos. So I think that's going to play a lot into this game. I saw a lot of similarities on here. I would say the Broncos defense is a touch better than the Browns, but that's basically what you're seeing today. So I think for the Browns, you're going to need to see the other Chubb play a big role. I think Baker's going to have to do what Baker always does, of course, but keeping on this throttle of when you're in the red zone, score touchdowns, I think that's going to play a big difference here. Don't be surprised if the Browns go on long drives. Just keep scoring once you get past midfield, and you should be fine. The Denver's offense, we've been playing – it seems like every week, Jerry, we play against another good running back. This is another example. I mean, Philip Lindsay, fourth in the NFL in yards. I mean –
and it's all the young kids have got the fresh legs, man. Young running backs.
It does. But the Browns, I mean, we're beating a dead horse, literally, but we got to do it again. I mean, the Browns defense, can they stop a running back? I would say so far, Jared, I have failed to mention once where I felt like we have. Even with the win last week against Carolina, I thought McCaffrey was all over the place in a bad way for the Browns. Philip Lindsay's another. Philip Lindsay does not catch the ball as much as McCaffrey, but he's certainly a guy who takes a lot of carries and runs downhill. I think this is another big test for this team. Case Keenum, he is what I probably think people are imagining. He's not going to win you the game, but I don't think he's going to lose you the game either. I think he's one of those classic veteran quarterbacks that makes enough plays to make wins. Really can't do what Baker Mayfield does, which is great to say. I mean, it's true. That's really the big edge here for the Browns. Keenum, I don't know if he can lead on a long drive to win a game without Lindsey's help. Now, obviously, Baker Mayfield can, in my opinion. So I think that's a big difference there. So everything's really across the board here pretty even in this game. The injury front, I mean, I was looking at the injury chart, Jared. There's really only two to stick out. Let's do the smaller injury first and the bigger thing. Corbett is still out with an injury, but he hasn't been playing anyways, so that doesn't really mean much. And J.C. Treader should be going again tonight, even with that hobbled ankle. So status quo for the Browns. Denzel Ward, though, this is the first time I think it's time to start eyeballing this for next week.
Yeah. I saw they were waiting to see if he would practice this week. That didn't happen. Why would you want to, especially with a brain injury and you're in thin air, to come back on your first game back? I don't think that would help his cause. If he's going to come back, he needs to be he needs to be at sea level if I'm going to bring him back after that.
I agree. Short week doesn't help either.
Nope.
So Denzel Ward, I actually think it's important he gets back on the field next week, because if he doesn't, I don't think they would put him back in this year. Unless you're seeing playoffs in the future. But let's just say it's a regular season play out. Jared, I don't see Denzel Ward playing this year. I think that's not – it is what it is if he's not healthy.
I think it's had an effect on defensively. Yeah. It absolutely has, because we've seen it. T.J. Carey getting picked on a lot. It's
killing us.
No,
on.
we haven't had we haven't been winning the turnover battles. These are things.
By the way, that's a great point. Yeah, that is true. Denzel Ward, since he's been out, we've done nothing.
Yeah.
On that front,
you put him back in there, and it's less pressure on that secondary, and probably less pressure on the linebackers to watch the middle of the field. I don't know.
I agree. I think you made a good point. I didn't think of it that way, but you're right. Denzel Ward forces the offense on the other side to play faster and have to make tighter decisions. I think that's the thing with Carey. Like, we've seen in the past guys who are worse than Carey playing the secondary for the Browns, and it just drags the team down to defeat. Carey's not that guy. I think Carey's average, but he just gets picked on, and he should. I mean, he's the worst defensive back.
He needs if he clenches his hand on one jersey tonight, I'm going to get frustrated.
Well,
it's going to happen. Though.
They play a bunch. I don't even get like similar against the Panthers. I mean, they have some young receivers, but nothing that really sticks out. Sanders is out for the year. Thomas got traded. So, I mean, the Denver wide receivers are not what they once used to be. For a while, in fantasy league, you always draft a Denver wide receiver. I don't know if that's the case right now. The Broncos really don't have that kind of passing attack. So, honestly, Jared, if you really want a quick fix and let's just get crazy, a Browns blowout, I mean, it's in play if they can stop Lindsey.
Yep.
If they can stop Lindsey, I'll be honest with you, this passing attack it's lethargic at times.
Well, looking at Case Keenum's numbers throughout the year, he genuinely has looked worse as the year has gone on. I mean, his numbers went. I mean, he was looking at 300, 200, close to 200, 300-yard games, 250, 290, other close, and then the last 4 games, a 200-yard passing game, all the way down to 186. That's changed. He's gone from 64% completion rate down into the mid-50s. It is just, he has not been on the rise throughout the season. So I would look for that to be in play as well, for having mediocre quarterback play out of Case Keenum tonight, because he's trending downward. That's a no-doubter.
I agree. I think in a game like this too, I want to bring up the dreaded term of the year, special teams. I do think special teams, usually in games like this, especially against the Broncos, always have some weird vibe to it. I think the Browns need to be wary of that and careful. Don't be surprised if Joseph has to make a big kick. And by the way, he should be expected to kick the ball in a big spot. This is a kicker's paradise.
Well, as long as it's 40-plus yards, he's good. That's
that. Oh, it is such a thorn. But yeah, I mean, I think Joseph's going to need I'm just saying, in this game, I really want to see Joseph's work. If it's like out by midfield, I say why not? This is the one place that I always feel like, why not? Just tee it up and see what you got. Knuckle that thing in there, bib. Yeah. So let's see what you can do. I think the other thing here to watch that in games like this always seem to be a factor, and you kind of touch upon, is turnovers. The Browns have not won the turnover battle. The penalties have not I don't think it's really affected them since Hughes left. I think we should keep our eye on both tonight. I do agree with what Jared's alluding to. it would be nice to see them as Jared's dying on podcast here. But are you okay, buddy? I mean, that's.
I thought I muted that. You heard me?
Oh, I heard every bit of it. We all did.
I was I muted it. It wasn't even showing it coming up. Must be showing up somewhere else. That's funny.
Well, you're nervous. We're all nervous. I was getting slummy here in a few minutes, but I think Nick Chubb is my last thing, and then we'll get predictions. I do think Nick Chubb needs to have 60 or plus yards. I think if the last few games has been 60, but you haven't really seen him make an impact in the game. I think our Chubb needs to have an impact today to win. I think that's going to be. I think it's key against defenses like this. You cannot allow Von Miller and you cannot allow Bradley Chubb to think pass every time. So you need our Chubb to have a good ground.
You're right, but I think a quick score early is on the plate. Look for another Perryman downfield, or something big right off the bat on that first possession. I'm looking for.
Yeah, I by the way, I don't disagree. I'm just saying I want to see a good, steady running game if you're up. You cannot, or if you're behind even, and it's only 7 points or less. Keep running the balls. You can't allow Von Miller and Bradley Chubb to get running starts.
No, and just like I was worried about with the Texans, let's see what happens with Duke Johnson. Let's see if he's there, especially for a quick pass, bubble screens, whatever you want to do with them. I'll
put him on notice. And I'll tell you what, David and Juco, I'd like to see you play well there. It's been a couple games now. I've been hearing a lot of rumors about how they've not been happy in Berea about the tight ends.
Oh, well, I mean, you have seen some other. I mean, they've also been a team that puts 3 tight ends on the field at once. I mean, that's.
I know. I tight end as the year's gone on, as people listen to this podcast probably gather. By the way, if you see I'm looking away, my Boilermakers are playing the Irish right now in basketball, so I apologize. I have to look up from time to time to see this miserable score. I love Notre Dame football. I don't care for their basketball team, and the Boilermakers are just showing a bleep show here on CBS. Back to the game. The Browns and the tight ends, I think that's something. It's not a first-round pick. More than likely, but I think they're going to pick up something on the draft for a tight end. I would be surprised, Jared. These are the 3 or 4 tight ends we have again next year.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised. I would be surprised. We shouldn't do that today, but I think it would be nice to see Duke Johnson and Juco. Callaway would be nice to have a couple plays here and there. Landry needs to keep up what he's doing. I will say, in fairness, though, Callaway, it's because more of Perriman. Perriman's played so well.
I feel like tight end is one of those impact positions that is really hard to hit on in the draft.
I agree. By the way, we've learned that. The Browns have learned that the hard way. We've had no luck when it comes to drafting tight ends, whether it's Winslow. I wouldn't say Njoku's a bust yet, but it hasn't really worked out so far. Jordan Cameron was good, but he's never healthy. We just have never had good luck with tight ends, to your point. Really have not. All right, so are the Donkeys going to beat us again, Jared?
Nope. Nope. 35-17.
Oh, man!
Listen, it's a young team. They've acclimated themselves to the area. They went in a day earlier than they normally would. It's like I said, the young, being fresh legs, young kids, they've got that edge. Baker, there's been talk about how much he knows about the Cleveland, this sort of game, what this means to the Browns fans. I think he knows more than people think that they do. And on top of that, this team recognizes that this is their only national stage. This is the only time that they're going to get this game under the lights. It's going to be the same motivation tonight, that level of play that we saw in that Bengals game. If that happens, 35-17 Browns.
Okay. Well, I am not as excited about it.
You don't have to be.
I see this being a very big nail biter. I am not taking them in the point spread this week.
Wow.
I do see the Browns winning, though, as well. But I think it's going to come right down the wire. There's something in the water in that goddamn stadium. They can't make it a blowout. I hope I'm wrong. I think Baker Mayfield leads them to a touchdown victory at the final drive, 26-23, Browns. I think a very, very close win. I think the Broncos will come out hot. I would not be surprised if the Browns are down early in this game. They come back. I think the Broncos could not have been happy about how they played. I picked them last week in the pick, so I certainly was never happy. But the Broncos should be very fired up about how they played last week. I think that will play in this game a little bit.
Okay.
I think the big thing here that I love about this, and what I want to start off with, I think Mayfield now is going to start taking over the city and taking over the league a little bit here at a time. I think this is game one. I think he wins in exciting fashion. Come back behind. But we both like the Browns, and I did not feel that way coming in when we were doing our podcast on Sunday. So look how we've changed.
Yeah,
in a short period of time. So
I'm feeling pretty good about tonight. Pretty good.
I am too. Let's go around the NFL real quick. We should lead off with what happened on Thursday. The Chargers with a great, thrilling victory. I didn't get to watch this as I was working on Thursday night, but what a great victory for the Chargers. The Chiefs, watching the highlights and reading things, I think the Hunt factor is really now in play here, Jared. I think they have not looked the same since that whole ideal gone down. I think it's fair to say that. It doesn't mean they can't self-correct us for the playoffs. They have time. The Chargers, though, that was an uncharger-like victory. Give them kudos. That was a gutty win in KC in the cold. So I give the Chargers a lot of credit for that victory. They're starting to have that look and vibe. They're still tied. I think the Chiefs still have a lot of tiebreakers over them, but that was a big win for the Chargers, not just for the division, but mentally. Around the games in the NFL this week, let's get to the 4:30 game last, but the big game is the Colts and Cowboys at 1 o'clock. There's games at every time position. Cowboys-Colts at 1 o'clock is a great game. Both teams are fighting for the playoffs. Cowboys are red hot. The Eagles and Rams are Sunday Night Football. I've taken more to the opposite side of the story, Jared. I'm interested to see what's going on with Carson Wentz here in weeks to come.
Yep. It hasn't looked good for them or for him as of late. This will be telling because we'll see how this goes. The Rams had their struggles recently too. So
I just think the Rams are going to win this game, but I'm more interested to see now what happens to Carson Wentz from here on out. Because at one point they were saying he was going to be out for the year. Now they're just saying he's going to be out for this game. His injury updates have been strange this week. I think Wentz, everything needs to be paused until next year. But I think, even as obviously a non-fan, I think Wentz needs to be very focused on next year. I don't think you can get rid of Foles yet, would be my comment. In Philadelphia.
Probably not. No, yeah, but I don't. Again, though, they're in a position where they've got two quarterbacks that they don't know if either of them are going to work out. We know that situation. We've lived that situation for a long time. We know what Nick Foles is. Nick Foles was lightning in a bottle, and that was that. It's not. He's not going to come in and take over for that team. It's almost like what Tampa Bay had to deal with.
The big positive is they won a Super Bowl. And that's why it's not a bigger story, honestly. If you win a Super Bowl and you go through all that, it's par for the course. Saints and Panthers, we broke down the Panthers. We saw them last week. I think that might be for Ron Rivera's job. I've been hearing rumors that I think he's going to be on the hot seat if they lose that game. I think that's right. So I think that's a big game, not just for the Panthers. I think it's a big game for Ron Rivera's job.
I think the Saints might roll in that game too. Although it's the same, but it depends on what Saints team shows up.
I know. See, I felt that way too when I made my picks. I just think when teams get pushed up against the wall, and Newton has been scrutinized for his, he's obviously got an injury problem too, but at some point you wonder if he'll be able to rise up and win a game here for the Panthers in the big spot, even with his injury. It'd be interesting. Again, I'm more interested in what's going on with the latter team. The Rams and Saints, I kind of know what they are. I'm more interested in the Eagles and Panthers from only from right now, but next year. I think those two teams seem to be transitioning.
I think when I talk about the Rams and my questions with them are, look, they're 11-2, and there's no doubting how that record.
They're talented,
but I know that they were due to lose a game, but to only put up 6, I know how good that Chicago Bears defense is. But 6 points, I'm
telling you,
it just doesn't.
Weather, that team looked like they wanted. I've seen that with
Jared Goff had like the worst game ever.
Sean McVay looked cold. The Rams looked like they wanted no part of Chicago in December. That's just one man's opinion, but that's what I saw in that game when I watched it. I looked like a team was like, hey, we got a game to throw away. Let's just get out of here.
Well, speaking of that, too, with, Todd Gurley, 11 carries, 28 yards. What do you think, jumping back to Baker, this kid, we didn't even mention he was Rookie of the Week again.
5 weeks now he's won it. The thing that I do want to caution Browns fans, because of Saquon Barkley, it's not a lock he's going to win Rookie of the Year. And I think that vote's going to be very close. But Barkley is going to be championed a lot. And I think the Giants have gotten hot.
Who's made the bigger impact?
Baker Mayfield. Don't even get me started. It's not.
Who's leading
again?
The worst run franchise, pulling them out of the grave.
You're selling to the wrong guy. It would not even be like, where's my ballot? Baker Mayfield number 1. I'm going to vote him for number 2 and number 3.
Right?
It's not even close. In fact, Denzel Ward, if he wasn't hurt, I put him in the top 5. But because of injuries now, I don't know if you can put Denzel in that spot. But I'll tell you, Baker Mayfield, it's not even close. But I just wanted to throw it out there. There's a lot of champion for Saquon Barkley's got a lot of press this week. So
okay,
just saying. Sadly, it's not all Clevelanders that vote. And I know how this world works, and the Giants get hot, and they keep running it off. Just saying, I think that's in play. I went 2-1 on my picks after 0-4 week. I got to do my totals. I've been lazy. I'll get my totals for the year. I'm still above 500. I know that, but I don't know where I'm at. I thought this week was miserable. I don't like any of these games. There's 2 I like here. There's one that I hate, but I'm a big believer in this in sports, and that'll be the last game we'll talk about. Seattle's on the road to San Francisco. I know San Francisco beat the Broncos. That's an aberration. They're only a 3-point favorite on the road. Take Seattle and San Francisco to win that game big. I think that's a blowout. Texans at the 4 o'clock game today against the Jets. The Jets have Aaron Donald's playing. I don't think anybody else is playing in this game. I'm saying Aaron Donald, Sam Darnold. I think the Texans will blow out the Jets.
Yeah, likely.
I think that's going to be a blank show. So I like the Texans big. To the 4:30 game in our last preview, my last pick. I have been stunned this week, Jared. Everyone I've heard and listened to thinks that the Patriots are ready to flush the Steelers down. I have heard no one like the Steelers this week at all.
And you don't like that, do you?
I, as a gambler, hate that.
Yep.
That was my red tip-off. Like, everybody's dogging a home dog at home, and this dog is live. I hope I'm wrong. So I did this for 2 purposes. To prove I'm wrong. But if I were to be honest, I had to make 3 picks, and that's what I do on this segment. I will take the Steelers plus the 2 at home. I hate when home dogs are picked on like this. And the Pittsburgh Steelers have been picked on all week. They're burying them. They're ready to bury them again.
You're talking about a Patriots team coming off a really, really garbage loss.
Hey, both teams did.
Yeah, but both teams did. But we're talking the Patriots and we're talking the Steelers. You know, who's better prepared for a bounce back game?
I don't even know why. Again, I just have. I want to. This is just going on my gambler theory, and I'm not a fan. I'm telling you, the Steelers are a great home dog being buried, and usually these home dogs rise to the occasion. I don't have any reasoning behind this. I know my heart hurts that the Patriots will probably stomp them, but I don't have another game I kind of like. And I don't want to pick the Browns this week because I don't know if the Browns can do it in Denver. So I'm taking the Steelers plus the 2.
Whew, okay.
I really think – I love that everybody hates on the Steelers this week. I love that this is the gambler in me, not the Cleveland fan. When you see this and you try to bury a home dog, it's like, this dog's got championship pedigree. It's a good – Jared, it just usually adds up to something over the home dog win.
I cannot wait to sit and watch every minute of that game tomorrow because I want it to be the fall. Like I want it to be. I want to witness the fall of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the beginning of the end.
Wouldn't that be wonderful?
It might start tomorrow.
I really believe the Steelers have.
It's their last gasp.
They're not going to win in New Orleans. I know that. They're not going to win in New Orleans. So that means everything goes into the Bengals last week of the year, which it is the Bengals, but still, I don't know. It's
come on, it's Hugh Jackson. You don't trust Hugh? You don't trust Hugh could take care of the Steelers? Come on.
I'll tell you, I'm fascinated to see what's going to happen with the Steelers. This could be an epic collapse. It could be so wonderful. So wonderful.
It could happen.
That 4:30 game is special. And I'll tell you on the flip side, too. Patriots, in a weird way, need that game just to get back on track. They really do. To your point, that was an historical loss.
Wasn't that insane?
It was wonderful. Wonderful. Watching Gronk run, the banana peel slip.
Oh, man. Yeah, somebody did a remake of Tecmo, of that play, of Tecmo football. You know what I'm talking about? Tecmo? And
I didn't see.
And they showed that the game character playing that would have been Gronk dove for a tackle, and I thought to myself, that's not how that happened. He didn't dive and just miss a tackle. He slipped and fell like a lunk. That's what he did. It was garbage. The video game version looked more impressive, and the real life version was terrible. It was awful to see, but it happened, and it was hilarious.
It was hilarious. Great games all abound tomorrow in the NFL, and I think that's the one benefit of having the Browns play tonight on their own at 8. Sunday NFL football's great, I think, tomorrow. I really do. I think, again, Cowboys-Colts at 1, Steelers-Pats at 4:30. It's not as sexy anymore because the Eagles lost, but Eagles-Rams is still good. And then Saints-Panthers on Monday night. That's a good slate. It's about as good as you're going to get in the NFL this late in the year. Sometimes it's hard to get games like that. They got a great slate going in my opinion. All right, so we've now said, hey, we love our boy Baker.
Cleveland Indians.
We all said that the Indians would probably make trades even after their loss to the Astros. You and I certainly agree to that.
Is this what we expected?
I would say question mark a little bit, but not really. To the latest results, which I'm sure people know, Yonder Alonso was traded, which Paul Hoynes correctly pointed out, and Jared and I were talking on the phone. I mean, the Indians and White Sox there's a long history between the Indians and White Sox. It goes all the way back to Albert Bell's cork bat. There's a huge disgruntledness between these two organizations. These two organizations do not like each other.
No. And we work with teams like Toronto.
Yes. For the Indians to be making a trade with the Chi Sox is really weird. And then on top of it, what we were alluding to, what I'll get into now, they traded for an outfield prospect to get money off the books. So Yonder Alonso's gone. The player they got in return is Alex Call. He's a double-A guy. Let's leave it there. We'll see what happens.
There's not much to get into beyond that. We don't know what this kid's going to turn into. Prospects are prospects are prospects.
Yes. The bigger thing to take away from here is twofold, and then we'll get into what happened on Thursday. The Indians are getting more money off the books, which means that plays have to be making going forward. They have to make plays going forward, and we'll get into that here in a second. But more importantly, Jared, I think they're realizing their outfield is a bit shaky. Because to take on an outfield prospect like that in Double-A for Yonder Alonso,
right.
I'm sure it's a contract dump, but you have to get something in return. They must think very highly of this outfield.
He's got upside, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think that in the long run, he's got more possible upside than Yonder could have offered either, too. So,
well, no question. But what it means is that they're really needing to stack their outfield because they don't know what's going to happen. Forget 2019, 2021, 2022. They're starting to realize we're not sure what this outfield is now.
Right.
So to get an outfield prospect back tells you Bradley Zimmer, which we mentioned, and he's not going to be playing for the first half of the year, Tyler Naquin. These are the kind of players that, hey, we own their rights, but we're not even sure they can hold their own going forward. That's what that trade meant to me. So I think there's a lot of future questions with what's going to go on in the Indians outfield. the bigger point here for today and for the now, they got money off the books for a prospect. Okay, now let's go to the bigger trade that happened on Thursday, which created a lot of Twitter buzz. Boy, if you ever want to read angry people, trade, I guess, set off a lot of alarm bells, which I agree with, but I thought sometimes people are jumping off the cliff when they didn't need to jump off a cliff.
Yeah, there was a lot of that.
There was a lot of that. I was kind of taken back by it. I thought I was going to get angry. I'm like, oh, people are more angry than I am. I'm not that angry. Edwin Encarnacion's gone. Carlos Santana's back. Yandy Diaz goes to Tampa Bay. And then the slide rule, Jake Bowers comes in, who sounds like he's going to be playing outfield, which is, again, an up-and-coming player ready to play now for the outfield for the Indians, is a first baseman, but they've already said they're going to move him out to the outfield. And more importantly, they took more money off the books. So the Indians now, they saved $10 million with that deal. I know, Jared, with Yonder Alonso, I believe he was in the $8 to $9 million range. So that's almost $20 million in capital.
Yep.
That the Indians now have flexibility to do some things with. They're going to make some more moves. That's what this says. I like the idea of bringing Carlos Santana back. You and I alluded to it. How do you have all these first basemen? It just didn't make sense. So something had to finally had to drop, and it was the Yonder Alonso trade.
I get nervous because I don't know exactly what we're going to get out of Carlos Santana at this point in his career. I don't know that. I mean, he's obviously not. Look, I didn't throw a fit over this move. I've been Edwin Encarnacion. Just he didn't give us the fire we needed. Playoff wise, it didn't happen.
There.
I mean,
I was going to ask you that question. What is your opinion on the Edwin Encarnacion years? Two seasons with the Tribe.
I didn't expect him to be here for 2 full seasons. I thought he was another rental for a year. So even that for me, I was okay with not having him there. I mean, I thought the bigger moves are what they're prepping for in the future. I get that that's the big shiny thing to look at in the trade, but that's not. But the him and bringing Santana back, I don't think that's what. I think that's not the important part to get from all of this. I think what you talked about prior is the money that we're taking care of. We're thinking more long term and trying to rebuild that outfield, and we haven't even yet talked about what could happen possibly with Kluber or Bauer at the end of the day. And those moves, I think, is what we're really gonna hone in on. To when we figure that out, we'll figure out the identity of what this team is going to be this season.
Okay, a lot to break down, right? Let's go to Edwin. I was a big Edwin fan. I was on the rare fence. I loved Edwin. I thought he did what he needed to do. His average could have been better, but he always drove in 100 home runs. He hit for power, and he put an enforcer in your lineup. The guy didn't hit until May, but once May came, the guy was a raker. He raked a lot in big spots. I think Edwin Encarnacion going is going to hurt this team a lot going into next year only. Carlos Santana helps. I'm actually a Santana supporter. I thought his last year in Cleveland was wonderful. I think he'll play well in Cleveland. He's 32 years old, Jared. So I think he's still in the prime of his career. He's only there for 2 more years. I think he'll be fine. But Edwin to Santana is a big drop-off. I mean, I love Santana, I do, but Edwin Encarnacion can rake in a big spot. The DH slot for the Indians is a big hole. I mean, a big hole.
Well, they've kind of struggled in and out of that being an issue for them over the past 3 years, as it is. 4 years. I mean, it's
well. Let's see what happens in late May.
Plugging people in, and it just hasn't been working like we wanted to. Josh Donaldson, one of those guys, right?
Yeah, I agree. I just want to hear the opinions when in late May and see how the runs are scored. If the Indians are scoring runs, I'm going to point to that. Edwin Encarnacion establishes and gives stability to your lineup. He's almost like, he's one of those pillars, right? He just brings stability to your lineup. I get why they traded. I'm not mad they traded it. I'm just saying that hurts. I like the idea of Santana coming in. So I'm not in love with Santana, but I like Santana. I think he'll do a nice job here. The only thing I don't understand about all these the one trade that still bothers me is Yan Gomes. I think the catcher situation, too, it's like, we're really going to go into the year with Roberto Perez? And let me make sure I got his name right. Eric Haas? Is that what we're really going in with next year?
I hope not. I don't know. I mean, That's why I'm still going to wait and see. I'm going to wait and see how this thing plays out. There's
There's a lot of potholes now. There's a lot of potholes, and I mean that. It's like, so who's the DH? Who's the catcher? Is Roberto Perez? Great, but he only hit. I don't think he even hit my weight. I mean, let's see. What did Roberto Perez hit last year? Let's get to this real fast as I wait for this to load. I believe Perez hit at the end 190 something. Let's see what he hit last year. 168. Jeez. And 2 home runs. Look, we'll see what happens. I'm just saying, Jared, I agree with you. You've got to wait to see how this plays out. But I see a lot of potholes for the Indians in this lineup.
Yeah, I don't like. We know what happened. This team last year was a roller coaster with when it would score runs and when it wouldn't. It was so frustrating. It was like the same time. It was like the same time period when we had Nick Swisher on the team. So you didn't know what you were going to get on any given night from the bats.
Yeah.
There was zero consistency. There was men left on man. Those years, just the men left on base was so awful during that time. Yeah. And I worry about that because that's what happened, I feel like, with us last season. That's the team we were looking at again.
I think for next year, names you should start hearing again. Obviously the Martins. Hopefully he's healthy. Greg Allen's going to have a big role in this team next year. Tyler Naquin, hopefully he's healthy. He'll have a big role in this year. Jordan Luplow, who's he? Get to know him. He's going to be a player playing a lot in the outfield. There's a guy named Oscar Mercado. I'm going to read up on him. These are guys we got to start getting to know. Max Moroff. The Bobby Brantleys. Bobby Brantley I've heard of. He's supposed to be a young up-and-coming star for the Indians. Maybe he'll be playing more time. We're going to start seeing this influx of talent come in, and I think it's going to play a role in catcher, outfield, designated hitter. Catcher's something different. I think you're going to have to get someone off, though. You're going to have to claim someone as a free agent just to help. I just don't see the year starting off with Eric Haas and Perez unless Haas is some sort of hidden gem that I don't know about. When it comes to the pitchers, here's something I'm starting to turn my head about. I wonder if this is what Francona's thinking. I don't know now if you can trade Bowers or Kluber.
You're afraid of even making that move, yeah.
You are, and you have such a strength in starting pitching. It's a rock, and it's going to be a rock this year. You basically have said, look, we're going to tear down our lineup, rebuild it from scratch. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, because we saw the Indians have issues next year. You have got to have a position of strength, and it's going to be pitching. You got to have something.
I can't really argue that. I would have no problem going into the season with that rotation.
It's going to be one of the best rotations in baseball.
What I worry about, if we're talking about that and we're talking about $20 million, what are we going to do? God bless. We're still looking at.
I listed them off. Third baseman, I'm not sure yet. Mike Moustakas is out there. He's been rumored. Moustakas would be a good fit for this team, actually.
Yep.
Kipnis. By the way, I think Jason Kipnis is staying here now. I don't
know how you could move him. No. What's crazy is, do you think that was an issue with nobody wanted to take him on? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason Kipnis is here for better or worse, and he's going to play. He's going to play a big role. I think the bigger questions they're trying to figure out now is your infield established and you just shift everybody back, Kipnis at second, Jose at third, Frankie at short, and you just focus on getting a DH and an outfielder and a backup catcher? Or do you really say, hey, let's go aggressive, put Kipnis in the outfield, and then let's figure out what we can do at third base? I don't know. With the Moustakas out there,
I can't see them putting Kipnis in the outfield. I just can't see that right now. I think their bigger issue is at catcher. I think they need to get a catcher and a DH, and I think they're going to ride with the outfield that they have in the hopes that Naquin and Zimmerman and all those guys are going to come in and play.
Yeah.
And Leonis.
We're going to get more into this. Oh boy, I'll tell you. We're going to get more into this a week from now. We're going to break down a bowl games, and we're also a week from now going to do a breakdown of the Indians roster. Because I think I need to start reading up on these guys and really figuring out what they're going to do. All these moves to be said, it's interesting what's going on with the Indians. This is going to be a very different team with some similarities.
You use the word rebuild. I'm looking more at a retooling. I don't see this as a complete teardown. You think that by the trade deadline that we could be stripping this thing to the studs? I mean, I don't see that as where we're at right now.
They're rebuilding their outfield. They're rebuilding their outfield. They're rebuilding their outfild.
Yeah.
They are. I don't know how else to say it.
Man, Brantley. Keeping Brantley would have been nice.
I don't understand that move. God, part of me wonders if that's going to be the one guy we signed. That would solve some issues. I really would. I just see a lot of rebuilding going on here. I don't see retooling. If I'm being honest with the lineup. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I see rebuilding. Retooling's when you trade things and you kind of maneuver lineups around. The Indians have holes. These are holes.
But they had holes going into the off season, so that's why. I mean, they're still going to be, and like I said, we got to see the moves that as they play out.
I know.
But you're right, though. Fans have jumped off the cliff with this.
I think
these
some
moves.
of it's fair.
Oh.
I think some of it's fair. I do. I mean, again, backup catcher, maybe starting catcher because Perez is not playing well last year.
Really
you don't have a DH. Your outfield, boy, you could throw a dartboard and you could probably hit better than I could guess right now. Third base, maybe. I don't. Jared, there's a lot of questions. There's a lot of questions.
Well, we got a lot of time, so.
Yeah. We will talk more about that in a week. I just don't think. I mean, it's obvious. The Indians are not done. The only thing I'm going to hit on again, I don't see Bauer or Kluber being traded now. I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't. The other thing I wanted to get to, I know we're fans. I was kind of bummed Yanni Diaz is not going to be here next year. I'm bummed.
He was one of those. I had high hopes for him.
I did too.
I like seeing him at bat in big situations and with men on base.
I do too.
He could light. He was the only guy last season I felt like that could light that offense up. That I was expecting to hit in runs when he would come to the plate.
See,
and he hit laser beam home runs too. Oh.
I know. I felt the same way. I know he's not a home run hitter. I know that's what baseball's turned into. But gosh, that guy could rake. And you said everything I was going to say. In big spots, he was fearless. I thought he should have played more in the playoffs the last couple of years. But okay, he's now gone. He'll be in Tampa. The big thing here is Jake Bauers. They have to hope Jake Bauers turns into the player some people think that kid, Jared, can hit 20, 30 home runs a year. We'll see.
I mean, I'll take it.
He's only been up for 1 year. So let's give this guy a breath. But, boy, he's going to be playing a lot next year.
Well, and you know what I can say is, though, his attitude coming to the team already, I can't wait to, headed to the land. Look, he's going to fit right in, I said. He'll fit right in with these guys. So at least, and I think that's huge. I noticed that Jose made his comments on Twitter after Encarnacion was traded and that stuff went down where he didn't say anything. He just kind of gave like I don't know what the hell's going on here kind of a comment on Twitter. I don't know how I feel about this stuff. I worry. I need damn well we need the good vibes in that dugout. If they're going to be able to manufacture something over 162 games, they have to. That's another thing I worry about.
I know.
Because who's going to be the leader in that clubhouse?
But see, you said why do you say that? Yeah, the Indians are rebuilding here a little bit. Mm-hmm. They really are. I think retooling again is when you're shuffling things around the lineup and you're making moves. I mean, the Indians have really big shakes here. Now pitching, but with the lineup. So. I thought Jose's comments, and I love Jose, I thought those were odd. I'll just leave it at that. I understand why he said it, and I love that he loves Edwin, and I like Edwin a lot too. And I know they were close from what I could tell. But I agree with you. You hope you get the good juju. A lot to break down the tribe. I really want to sit and read up on these players more, and we can figure it out more. And I hope they make all these moves tomorrow. So we can talk more about.
Oh my goodness! Wouldn't it be nice? Yeah. No, because what usually happens is these moves happen as soon as we finish the show, and then we got to come back in and break in again live on Facebook.
Oh, I know. Let's see if Condoleezza Rice comes in as a new manager by the end of this broadcast. But anyways, like I said, next week because usually next week's a dead week in sports. We'll do obviously the Browns and the Bengals preview, but Bulls and more about the Indians. I think I just think there's so much change now with this team.
Yeah.
That needs to really be done. So podcast. Okay.
Cleveland Cavaliers.
Cavs real fast. The big news this week was twofold. Delhi came back. Everybody loves Delhi. I have a Delhi t-shirt jersey. I love Delhi. We all love Delhi. Good news. He'll be playing a lot of minutes for the Cavs right now. So he's back to the Cavs. Good to see him back. The other, which was not great, Tristan Thompson out for 2 to 4 weeks with an injury. So really the Cavs are playing short. Boy, you talk about teams playing short. They're playing short. No Love, no Thompson. With that said, I did watch a majority of the Knicks game. I thought that was one of their best wins again.
Right.
I said there's a lot about this team. What a gutty win. The Knicks were playing hard. Knicks won that game. Again, I see there's things already developing with the Cavs for next season.
Yeah.
I'm already seeing little things pop up. I think this team's got some charms, got some connection. I don't think it's going to be as hard, which I'm glad to see. I don't see it as like what the Bulls are going through, or I can tell what the Knicks and Nets have been feeling. I'm not seeing that the Cavs are really on. We'll have to see how they develop. That's really been about it this week. I did not get a chance to watch a single minute of any of the Bucks games. I know they lost last night.
Yeah.
I'll just do a quick flip to the score. The one thing I wanted to ask you that I was going to get my opinion about, what did you think about all the Raptors? A lot of Raptors talk after they beat the Golden State Warriors this week. A lot of people are talking them up about big things. Do you really? I mean, we've laughed them off because LeBron and the Cavs have always shredded them in the big spot. Is this finally their year?
No,
I think it is.
no, not even close. No, no. And besides, they just went down to Portland, so I think,
Oh my God.
like I don't care.
By the way, Greek Freak taking care of the Cavs. I didn't realize he had 44 last night. My gosh, that was a good start.
I love that dude.
That guy's really good.
Yes.
The other thing too that I'm seeing on this stat line that should be brought up, Larry Nance is going to be playing a lot, and he played well, and he played well again here too against the Bucks. I know they lost big, and have to go against the Greek Freak, but he did a nice job in this game. Sexton's had his, up and downs a rookie. His last couple games have been more than good, but again, that's a rookie for you. As for the Raptors, I'm kind of eluding the question I teed up with you, so I should now answer it. I think it's interesting what's going on with the Raptors. It's a long season in the NBA, but I will say I did not expect the Raptors to have this much of a grip and a strong hold of the East, and they kind of do right now. I know there's Celtics and Bucks, but they haven't. I mean, look, it's not a formidable lead, but they have a nice 2-3 game lead. Let me get the exact standings, but I'm interested to see if this carries.
Yeah, they've got a 2.5 game lead.
Yeah, I mean it's a nice lead.
But they're 6-4 over their last 10, and the Bucks haven't taken advantage of that slip. The Pacers have though, and the Celtics have been playing well. But
Pacers are dangerous. I think the Pacers are dangerous. I think.
We've seen what happens to the Raptors, though. I know that. Look, maybe part of this is the excitement of the fact that LeBron's finally out of their hair, right?
Maybe.
But
maybe. Yeah, maybe. But I thought it was interesting. Everybody was jumping on board that boat. By the way, I teased them, so I should give them props. The Celtics are 10-10. They've now won 8 in a row. So everything's nice and steady over there in Boston, which is annoying. I like when they're tilting. I think it's more of a fun team.
Tilting. What happens with there was a flat Earth joke in there I was going to make. It probably would have been horrible, so I'm glad I didn't.
I am done with NASA and flat Earth jokes. I think the whole thing just smells. I'm not going to say anymore. I just think the whole thing smells.
Yeah, I think so too.
Oh, I think the whole thing smells. I don't want to hear about it.
Men on the moon, all that stuff.
I don't care.
I think it's dumb. I think all of it was dumb.
The whole thing's dumb. I think it's all a bunch. All right. I think there's some acting going on from all parties, and Curry admitted as much the other night.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm tired of is this like the new thing? Is to have something that's obvious and then say it's the opposite?
Well, what else is gonna bring attention to the NBA right now when the Warriors are basically, have the ability to run all the way through everything until something changes? I don't know. They do have their struggles, but
no, they do. Denver's still in first. Houston's a team to watch. I mean, there's still tons of time left. A lot of talk about the Clippers too, but again, I don't want to do much in the NBA right now because the Cavs are so out of it. But the Raptors did make a lot of noise in that win for one reason or another. I agree. I think there's a lot of time left to be played. But yeah, boy, Purdue better win this game. I'm going to be so pissed if they lose another game this early on. God, they need to start winning games over there. They have the best player in the country, and they can't get wins. Maybe I'll do that podcast later on too next week. All right, so let's wrap up. I wanted to always do some early bowl games. I love these are my fun. These are the fun bowl games. The Auto Nation Cure Bowl, Tulane, Louisiana. Will you be watching anything as soon as we hop off?
No, I'm not putting that game on. I don't care.
I know everybody's sitting down to a warm fire to see Utah State, North Texas. That's the New Mexico Bowl. Arizona State, Fresno State's interesting. So you got Herm Edwards, and Fresno State came in hot. A lot of people who are Vegas-minded loves Arizona State. Arizona State's a 5.5-point underdog in that game. So if people like to gamble out there, it might be a hot bet for you. Georgia Southern Eastern Michigan, the Camellia Bowl. Does that interest you? 3:30.
No.
Montgomery, come on.
I mean,
Crampton.
The only time I think of the Eastern, I think Eastern Michigan a little bit. Didn't they used to play Youngstown State? Weren't they Weren't they in that old D2 lineup?
But they came over to the back in the 70s. Or some point like that. I forget. East Michigan, though, came over at some point. But Middle Tennessee, actually.
Why did you freeze? Oh, you froze real quick. Say it again, Andy.
I'm sorry. I was getting so excited about the Camellia Bowl. That probably froze the time. The Carriers New Orleans Bowl. I mean, it's not exciting. Middle Tennessee, Appalachian State. I'm being serious. That will be an entertaining. If you want a good, fast, no defense game, Appalachian State, Middle Tennessee.
Yeah.
Hop on board.
I mean, I could.
You won't be watching.
No, I won't. I've got other things I need to be watching.
Quickly, too, we'll do more of this on Monday, or Sunday night, actually. UAB Northern Illinois on Tuesday. San Diego State, Ohio. A lot of people love this game. Only 2.5-point spread there. Marshall, South Florida. Always fun when those two play. And then my boys, the Toledo Rockets, they play FIU in the Makers Wanted Bahamas Bowl. Wow, that's a name, huh? Nassau.
What?
Get your tickets now. Tickets still available.
Oh, they are?
Nassau. They are.
Wow.
By the way, $96 a pop.
Really?
Most of these tickets are only $19. It's for some reason $96 a pop in Nassau. Huh,
got to be a resale. Got to be a resale. There's no way that's not the listed ticket price. It's got to be a resale.
Come on, Jared. We'll do more bowls on Friday. But I love the bowl season. I love these goofy bowls. I think they're fun. Quick couple things, and we'll get out of here. Harold Baines got a lot of flack. I even mentioned I wasn't too surprised. I thought he was always a great player. I thought he was a great player. But boy, a lot of backlash about Harold Baines getting in the Hall of Fame. I mean,
as a broadcaster. As a player.
Player. I mean, as a broadcaster. I mean, I just think I was very surprised about that. Russo did a whole thing with La Russa, and you can watch it there. I mean, do I think he's worthy as a shoo-in? Obviously not, but boy, Jared, it was a big topic out here in the East Coast about Harold Baines getting in. I did not realize it didn't cause that much of a stir about him getting in the Hall.
I mean, I wouldn't. I don't know why it's such a big surprise. He's a guy that he's kept himself. Look, he hasn't disappeared, and I think guys like that, you improve your odds over time in that way. You continue to be on people's minds. That plays a role.
Oh, I agree. But I was surprised about that. And again, I'm not saying it's a shoo-in. I'm not saying it's a great inductee. I mean, it's shaky. There's no question. But come on, the guy's a good player. People want to know this. I am so bothered by all the Hall of Fames that this is why I just find them all very annoying at times in awards. The last thing, Vegas came and went. The Indians made the biggest splash at the end. I thought the week, though, for everything was supposed to be was very much a snooze fest. I know we kind of touched upon this in October. I think baseball's got a big PR nightmare. Am I wrong, Jared? I think they do. I just don't think baseball's generating much buzz at all anymore.
No, we've talked about this. The silly, nicknames on the jerseys, the whatever they want to do, painting their cleats. I don't know if they're doing that, but I'm sure that's the next thing. They're out of touch. You got people that are trying to be they're trying to maintain the history of the game, and the people that throw fits over the ideas of even the I don't think that what did the automatic walks when you're what did that really do? I mean, these are changes that I just don't see. What is baseball? What is their 10-year plan?
Well, I think that's a very fair statement. I think the three things that we'll harp on: analytics is way too much in the game.
Yep.
They have to get a time clock in. I don't care anymore. They have to get a time clock in. I want to see batters going right in there. The Irish are going to go up 10. I can't. Boy, the Boilers are frustrating this year. The time clock has got to become a bigger point in these games. Batters need to get in there, and pitchers need to step up and pitch. I think Jared, I'm ready for a time clock. I'm ready for it. It has to be a part of it. And I think the last thing, they need to get more interactive with a game that still could be interactive. Baseball is the most interactive sport you could have. Go into the gambling. Do a little bit of that stuff. Get involved. People tease the NFL. I think MLB's been the slowest behind the wheel gambling. I know the Pete Rose thing happened, and it really expunged them. They got to get ahead of that.
Well, they've got that, and they've also, the other thing is, they don't know how to take advantage of the big names in the game. They don't.
I agree.
They don't.
I agree.
The big names in the game are not even, they don't get the attention of some of the middle talents in the NFL or the NBA.
No,
think about that. You've got guys like Delhi that are more well known than some of these big hitters in the major leagues.
I would even say I'd argue outside of Cleveland that Francisco Lindor is, yes, he's very well known, but Delhi's just as much of a name at times to some people.
Yeah.
Because of his presence in Australia. And again, they have the world's players. I mean that. Dominican, Venezuelan, Colombian, Canadian. They have a lot of these countries check box. So they have the world's game. They have to figure that stuff out more, I agree. I think it's a big, big issue. And I think the time clock thing and integrating more into today, we're a sport that can do that. The analytics of this game's gotten too extreme. But if you're going to use the analytics to your side, use it for gambling to get younger people in there and allow them to be a part of the game. Mm-hmm. And this is the bunch of biggest crap Purdue's putting on now. God, Scrooge, everything. God, Purdue's driving me crazy in basketball this year. And the best player in the country, and you wouldn't know it because we can't beat anybody.
I'm sorry about that, Andy. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, yeah, I am too. I don't have time to go on a rant. You know what? Purdue's the fourth thing we'll do. This has got to change.
Okay.
Purdue is too talented to be losing all these games. They lost to Texas, peed down their leg in big spots. They never win these crossroad classics. Purdue's not that bad, and they're playing below their talent level.
Listen, believe them when they're trying to tell you who they are.
Beat the Broncos, Browns. I need something. I don't know what the hell's going on with the Indians.
Don't worry about that. It's happening.
Cavs are. I know.
It's happening.
The Cavs. I hope so. I'll tell you, boy, Purdue. You see, I'm glad everybody gets to see this. This is driving me crazy what's going on in Purdue basketball this year. They're not this bad. And
this is why I'm not invested. This is why when the Buckeyes almost gave it away to Bucknell, which they barely they won by.
Now
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
I know.
They're a 500 team against the 15th ranked team in the nation. I just shut it off and I walked away. They won. That's all right. They won, so I'm happy.
I can't.
I save my stress for the Browns. That's what I do. I'll
tell you what. Next year is going to be such a fun year for that team.
Yeah.
It is going to be such a fun year.
And let's say this, even Andy. Let's say this, even if they. And this is something. Listen, that's not going to happen. But even if they can't win any of these last three games, it's still a better season than any of us could have ever hoped for.
Everything is carried to next year. And it's true. This will be the first off season. It won't be all about the draft. And I don't remember the last time I said that.
Even when they've had times where they've had a better record, even that Brian Hoyer season, we were still worried about the draft.
Derek Anderson. I was focused on the draft big time.
Now we're just looking to add some hungry players. That's all we're doing. That want to buy into the system. I think that as this goes on, too, they win one or two more, I think you're going to have a real tough time talking me out of Greg Williams and Freddie Kitchens. That's all. That's where I'm at. These kids bought in. They bought in.
I agree. I like it. I'll tell you what, when we talk on Sunday night, I want to talk about a big Browns victory and a Purdue comeback over Notre Dame. And then I want to talk about how Notre Dame's going to beat Clemson, as I do love Notre Dame football. I really want them to beat the crap out of Clemson.
That would be entertaining if they can make it happen.
Well, we'll talk about that more, too. By the way, last word, then we will jump off. I've heard a lot of mixed feelings about this Rose Bowl. What is your vibe so far? We'll do more on Friday. But what's your vibe so far about Washington? Are you excited about the Rose Bowl?
No, because it's one of two things. Either Ohio State runs in and completely demolishes them, or Ohio State comes in flat, not ready, and they get handed a big loss. And either way, it doesn't matter, in my opinion. I'm looking to see what Coach Day does next season. And it doesn't look like they're going to start off too difficult. I'm more worried about what Coach Day is going to do next season. I'm going to watch the game. I'm going to be excited. There's no way I'm going to miss the Buckeyes in the Rose Bowl. But what does it really mean at the end of the day? It's not the college football playoffs.
Okay.
Urban Meyer. I you know how exhausted I've been with them all season with all the off the field garbage. We don't know. I don't know what Haskins is going to end up doing. Whether he's going to stay or go. I'm in like Buckeye purgatory. I don't know where this leads. I don't know where it's going. I don't even know where we are. So until that changes, until next season, then we can start anew, and then I'll get fired up again.
Oh,
right? I mean, what?
Oh, what a great teaser. I will give you my thoughts on Friday. Hope everybody goes angry shopping. I have to run or I would talk about my feelings on this. I'll just say I think that's great. That's the kind of reactions I've been getting from people. Purdue beat Notre Dame. Go Browns. Beat the Broncos.
Go Browns.
Tonight. We'll talk more about that on Sunday. And for people out there who want to know, I'm one of those angry last-minute shoppers, and that starts on Sunday night. Can't wait.
For Andy Billman, I'm Jared Watson. Andy and Jared, Cleveland and beyond. Go Browns!
Go Browns.
I need a solid win tonight in Denver, Colorado. And by the way, go Patriots too. Take care.
Hey, don't forget to follow Andy and Jared Cleveland and Beyond on Facebook at facebook.com/Cleveland and Beyond, and on Twitter at CLE and Beyond. That's at CLE and Beyond on Twitter. You can also shoot us an email, andyandjared@gmail.com. Looking forward to hearing your comments.